This is Total Babble. Total Babble. It's a show about music, pop culture, social media, movies, the internet, relationships, TV, whatever. Total Babble. The Total Babble Podcast.
All right, she's Emily, I'm Stu, and it would not have been as bad a week if we lost Jimmy Fallon, not Jimmy Kimmel. There's that to talk about. Also, I sold all my stuff and spent the money on drugs and hookers, and now I just don't know what to do because the rapture was supposed to happen yesterday. So I figured might as well party it up on the way out, and nothing happened. And now I'm all limp and broke, and oh, sure, it was fun, but here I am.
I'm sorry to hear that you weren't picked for the God Squad by Sky Daddy. That's sad.
Do you think everybody else went up secretly and we just don't know about it yet?
I set up a group chat yesterday.
To alert people of the rapture?
Just to see who got picked.
Oh.
And I included some of the most virtuous and godly folks that I know. And unfortunately, they were also not picked. And we haven't been able to find a single person.
If we're communicating and we're sinner heathens, then that by virtue of association makes us all sinner heathens.
I think that
There you go.
everyone in some way is a sinner heathen.
I'd like to think so, because those are the people I want to hang with. I'd rather party with the sinners than be happy with the saints. What is that Billy Joel song? I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, welcome to the show. How are you? You seem more bright and alert this week and like you're more together, and I am encouraged about you.
That's great. Thank you. I'm very well. Thank you.
Many weeks she's just devastated and tired, and we don't talk about it on the show.
No, it's great. I'm doing all sorts of weird things with time that I shouldn't be spending because I don't actually have it. Asking ChatGPT questions like, what are my colors and what type of makeup colors should I use on my face? Just weird things like that.
Is your ChatGPT friend named Bippy? Because I think that would be good for you as an Australian. Bippy?
That's funny. I have not named the robot. I don't want to personify or whatever it's called, the robot.
Because I don't think you should be using the Chat GPT at all, but that's just my judgment. And I thought, well, if she is, I bet it's named Bippy.
Bippy.
Yeah. So we can get into it. The big story this week. Boy, there's so much to talk about with Jimmy Kimmel. First off, I am bothered that we just finished the show and then within an hour or two, something big seems to happen on Wednesdays and then we're not able to talk about it for a week. So I am wondering, can we just do a show anytime? Can you just be there at my beck and call? Like I could text you and I'd say, I know you're at dinner with family, but we need to do a show in 20 minutes. Would that be okay?
Bold of you to assume that I'll be actually doing something other than waiting for your call because my life is fairly boring these days.
You are winding down, though, now, and you're not used to retirement. You may need to get into that. I'm just pointing that out.
Yeah, that's true. I think I do need to get some kind of hobbies because racing myself on how fast I can fold a box of laundry is really not as thrilling as it might sound. But sure.
Great if you came by my house. Okay, what about if I send this message? I know you're in a hospital shitting yourself on an IV, but can we do a show in a couple minutes? Would that work?
Well, here's what I know about you.
Yeah.
You would never accept the audio quality associated with me being in a fucking hospital with bipping things.
I assume you're going to be going home for it.
I'm like, haha, nice try, Stu.
We could
You would
call
never.
and maybe figure something out. I don't know. Anyway. So, yeah, last week, the Jimmy Kimmel thing happened, and I was livid. Like, I wasn't just a little bit bothered. Me, as the guy I am coming from broadcasting and being idealistic, I was super livid, and I made it my goal in life to make a difference and a change. And I just went on the warpath and I think made a positive difference. But brief recap for anybody that doesn't know, I'll try to be brief. Jimmy Kimmel was pulled off the air by ABC for saying nothing. He said that Republicans were using Charlie Kirk's death to gain political points. That's absolutely true.
Correct.
I don't even think it's up for debate, and there's nothing offensive in that. You could also even make the debate that maybe Democrats are looking for those political points too, but for sure there's nothing damaging in that statement. And for background, many people think that ABC owns all the stations that they're on. They really don't. Nexstar is one of the big group of owners that has primarily ABC programming, and they want to do a big merger coming up, some big corporate thing. And the FCC has been pressuring them to dump Jimmy Kimmel because he talks lots of shit about Trump. They then recently directly threatened the approval of Nextstar's merger, and they're kind of strong-arming them and being really shitty about it. And that is completely illegal. It's called jawboning. And how can I say this diplomatically? Brendan Carr, the chairman of the FCC, is a total toady cunt. He's just an absolute horrible human being, a toady cunt. He's weak of character. He has a little Donald Trump gold pin in the shape of his head that he wears on his blazer. He's a total toady cunt sycophant, this Brendan Carr. So he's going after them, and Nextstar bowed to it. They pulled Jimmy Kimmel off their stations, and then ABC also pulled him off the air. And then Sinclair Broadcasting, who also owns a bunch of ABC stations, they're known to be really weird conservative religious kooks. They also said they're not going to carry him. And then people got wind of this and found out it had happened. And for once, people stepped up and got really pissed off and were in social media protesting in real life. And they were boycotting Disney and ABC and ESPN and Marvel stars were pissed off. And the thing I noticed in social media is that there was a lot of people doing "I stand with Jimmy Kimmel" and posting his picture. And that to me is the thoughts and prayers of taking a stand with something like this. It's just empty. It does nothing. I stand with Jimmy Kimmel. Like if you want to make a statement, you go and you cancel all of those streaming services. You post about it. You protest local affiliates. You make it be known that you're not going to buy any of their advertising. You're not going to give their clients any of your money. That's the way it needs to be worked out. And it seems like enough people did that because Disney lost $3.8 billion of its market value basically overnight. And even Republicans started speaking out. Ted Cruz, that waste of human life, said that he didn't agree with this and was talking about how terrible it was. And then there was the business part of it where it was conjectured that Jimmy Kimmel probably had like $1 billion lawsuit on his hands. If he wanted to sue over this, he could probably get over $1 billion. So all of those things happening, ABC Disney decided to put him back on, but Nextstar and Sinclair stations are still blacking him out. And Jimmy was just back last night. And that's kind of where we are. The chairman of the FCC also threatened after all this that he was going to keep going after people like Jimmy Fallon and The View. And The View responded, and I found a clip of it, but it was not especially great. It was Whoopi Goldberg trying to read cue cards, and it just was not. Now, let me read this right. And it was, okay, you didn't really say anything. And then I found this audio of Jimmy Fallon. Now, Jimmy Fallon, to me, not a bad guy, but I kind of dislike him the same way I dislike Will Smith. I think he's completely phony and disingenuous. And
Really?
anytime there's a moment where you would maybe kind of smile, he's falling out of his chair laughing. It's just the biggest moment ever. And he's just such a poser to me. Like he very rarely has a human moment. And I think you can hear that in this clip that I've got. And if not, argue with me. I always enjoy a good argument. So here's Jimmy Fallon after all of this happened to Jimmy Kimmel. And here's how he handled it.
Guys, the big story is that Jimmy Kimmel was suspended by ABC after pressure from the FCC, leaving everyone thinking WTF.
You go with that cute joke, really?
I doubt he wrote that for himself, but yeah.
His decision to go with it. Well, okay. And then the crowd applauds. What kind of crowd? Oh, yeah, he just made a WTF joke. That was fucking brilliant.
Yeah, but if you're in a live audience, you know they hold up cards telling you to applaud and stuff. So
yeah, still. It ought to have been a murmur, if anything, not, yeah, you go, Jimmy. You just made that joke. I would be embarrassed by that joke. We are coming up on some Jimmy Fallon humanity, though.
This morning, I woke up to 100 text messages from my dad saying, "I'm sorry they canceled your show." I go, that's not me.
Pretty obvious.
That's Jimmy Kimmel.
Different Jimmy.
But to be honest with you all, I don't know what's going on. And no one does. But I do know Jimmy Kimmel. And he's a decent, funny, and loving guy, and I hope he comes back.
Okay, so there was your 5 seconds of humanity. That's all you're going to get from Jimmy Fallon.
Yeah, a lot of people are worried that we won't keep saying what we want to say or that we'll be censored. But I'm going to cover the president's trip to the UK just like I normally would.
Okay, so this is the most obvious bit that anybody could do. He's going to be covering the president's trip like he normally would. How do you think this goes?
I have no idea.
No.
Like, he doesn't cover it at all.
He covers it, and he does the thing where they overdub him talking about how great the president is at certain times. It's such an obvious, dumb, worthless bit.
Here we go. Well, guys, President Trump just wrapped up his 3-day trip to the UK, and he
looked incredibly handsome.
And he does that for 2 minutes. That's the bit.
As always, his tie was
exactly the right length.
And it's
So I feel like you disagree with me, and that's fine. I like these moments. Go ahead. Defend Jimmy Fallon if you want.
Well, I really like the musical components of his show. I think that he's quite a talented musician. I think he has pioneered some really fun and interesting things like lip sync battle and that sort of stuff, like good, lighthearted entertainment. And I think that that has made his show different. And sure, it's a little bit cornier, a little bit more PG, if you will, than some of the other late night hosts. But I think that that's part of the brand. Do you know what I mean?
You're talking about all the little musical bits that he does with people and that kind of thing. And
yeah.
Okay, I can kind of go with that. When I'm thinking of him, I'm thinking of his interview skills and his monologues, and I watch him and he's completely just disingenuous. But I guess you have a valid point there.
And so I think that he's just, all of these people, right, they play themselves, but they also are a caricature of themselves.
Right.
I don't know if they're really like that. I mean, they're certainly not like that all the time. And so I think that some of it is he does have this sort of Labrador puppy persona that he plays on TV. And so they write jokes for that and all of those different bits and pieces. But he gets good and interesting guests.
Because he's safe and wholesome, you know?
Because he's
Nobody
safe and
has to worry
wholesome.
being on Jimmy Fallon.
Right, exactly. And something that I admire about him is, and I might be wrong and I'm happy to be proven wrong, but I don't think he's ever made a guest feel uncomfortable or gotten into some kind of tete-a-tete with someone like Chelsea Handler or something like that because he's said something that he didn't realize was offensive or something like that. So it's a bit vanilla and lighthearted.
I might say milk toast.
Yeah.
He's a little bit milk toast.
Milk
I say it that way because it's spelled that way. I just found out how it was spelled as of about a year ago. Milk toast is milk toast.
Yeah, it is a little bit light, I guess. But I don't find him annoying. You know, like some other people, I just cannot stand. Like if they come on the television, I just turn them off because they absolutely do my head in.
And Jimmy Kimmel just came back from vacation and he has guest hosts while he's out. And I got to tell you, every single one of those people were terrible and annoying like you're talking about. They were trying so hard and overselling everything, and they bothered me for the same reasons that Jimmy Fallon bothers me, with exception of a couple. Diego Luna was pretty good.
Oh, yeah, he's good.
And I didn't think I'd like her, but Fortune Feimster was actually pretty good. But the rest of them were just, oh my God, Tiffany Haddish made me want to throw the TV through the window. Shut the fuck up and calm down. Oh my God, I couldn't stand her.
Okay, that is a really good point. That is another person who I feel like is a caricature of themselves. Like when she's in a movie or something and she's playing that certain character, whatever, I can stomach it. But surely she's not like that all the time.
Yeah. I've heard her interviewed and I said, wow, I really like her. She's got some smarts. And then every other time since then, it's like she's putting on this big, more than anything, I'm huge. And in the middle of anybody answering a question when she was guesting for Kimmel, she would go, oh my God, shut the fuck up. You don't need to every single statement. Oh.
I think that's a sign of an inexperienced interviewer.
Yeah. Many of them were very nervous, and I get that, but somebody should have been coaching them too. But also, they should have been able to realize, wow, you need to calm the fuck down.
Just dial it back, Tiffany.
Yeah, anybody that wants an exercise in how much patience you have, go back and watch Tiffany Haddish, guest host for Jimmy Kimmel. Oh my God, it's insane.
I'm just thankful that we can still watch shows like this because they come for the comedians first. Yep. Anybody who doesn't think that free speech is under attack is deluding themselves. It 100% is. And how it's being chosen to be applied should terrify everyone. And the fact that you can still go out there and be promoted a video of Charlie Kirk's assassination is something that shouldn't be able to happen. Not morally, technically.
Right.
So
they can watch out for that sort of thing.
You got to watch out for that sort of thing. Somebody wants people to see that video because it's serving a purpose. Other videos that are horrific are on the internet all the time. You know, there are literally thousands of poor people who just watch terrible content and moderate content all day, every day. And there are systems in place that are actually linked between all social media, where if one social media outlet takes down a flagged piece of content, it is replicated across all others. So riddle me this, Batman. How is it that we are not getting promoted Taliban beheading videos? Because that stuff gets flagged and gets taken down immediately. But how come so many millions of people, and literally millions, was forced in their feed to consume that piece of content? How is that even possible?
Well, I can tell you that if beheading videos were allowed and weren't so outrageous and Mark Zuckerberg could make money from it, those would be up too. It's just that, that's where people get really upset, so we can't allow that to happen. That guy is such a shill too that he will do anything for money, and if he could get away with beheading videos, he would. So, perspective, I guess.
Abhorrent.
Yeah. And probably they were doing well with those in clicks, and then they finally decided to say, oh, we better take down the Charlie Kirk video. I guess that's a problem.
Oh, it's still out there.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go.
It's awful.
Yeah. And we are under attack, our free speech, and I have a conspiracy theory that we'll get to here in a moment. And
I'm excited.
I think I'm on track with this, and it makes sense. But first, I wanted to play this, another celebrity. Do you know who Ron Perlman is?
I've heard the name. I might recognize the voice.
He's an actor and a voiceover guy. And when the Jimmy Kimmel thing happened, he had a comment too, and I wanted to play this for you.
Hey, how you doing? I just wanted to let you all know I just renewed my subscription to Disney Plus and Hulu, which I had canceled many months ago. But I just renewed my subscription so I could cancel it again. You leave your talent to twist in the fucking wind? You fold like a cheap suit? Fuck you.
So he stood up a little bit for what he thought was right. I enjoyed that one. That was one of my favorite responses to all this. And I felt like that was the way to go. And when you juxtapose that against the Jimmy Fallon, it all stands out that much more to me.
Yeah, I think, Jimmy Fallon doesn't use any profanity though. So there's that.
Right.
So,
how great would it have been though for Jimmy Fallon to say, fuck you, and it just, at least have them bleep it. That would have been a good moment there. He could have been a guy with balls at that moment.
He could have indeed. And Ron Perlman, he's Hellboy, isn't he?
He's Hellboy and he's the Beast.
And he's the Beast from Beauty and the Beast.
And he was on Sons of Anarchy, a show that I started watching and then kind of lost interest in. But he's a really good actor, and I have respect for that guy.
Yeah, awesome. I love that. He was in Blade 2 as well.
Oh, I like that movie, I remember. Or was it Blade 1? One of the Blades I liked.
Yeah.
I'm a Blade man.
Blade 1's a classic.
Just call me Gillette. Anyway.
Then we should be expecting 4 or 5 blades then, shouldn't we?
Blade 6. Pretty soon you go to shave and it's just this much dragging across your face. There's a visual bit. Anyway, Jimmy Kimmel was back last night. His monologue went on for 15 minutes. He was super emotional at times. He had a lot to say. He, at one point, gave almost an apology. It was clear that he had to do that part of it to get back on the air. And I just wanted to play this little bit because this kind of talks about the Toadie cunt and all of that stuff going on.
Brendan Carr, the chairman of the FCC, telling an American company, we can do this the easy way or the hard way, and that these companies can find ways to change conduct and take action on Kimmel, or there's going to be additional work for the FCC ahead, in addition to being a direct violation of the First Amendment, is not a particularly intelligent threat to make in public. Ted Cruz said he sounded like a mafioso. Although, I don't know, if you want to hear a mob boss make a threat like that, you have to hide a microphone in a deli and park outside in a van with a tape recorder all night long. This genius said it on a podcast. Brendan Carr is the most embarrassing car Republicans have embraced since this one. And
Cybertruck.
that's saying something. The FCC has a tradition of meddling where they shouldn't under many administrations, but it wasn't always like this. There was an FCC commissioner back in 2022 who worked under Joe Biden who was spot on. He wrote, President Biden is right. Political satire is one of the oldest and most important forms of free speech. It challenges those in power while using humor to draw more people into the discussion. That's why people in influential positions have always targeted it for censorship. You know who wrote that? FCC Commissioner Brendan Carr, who later was appointed chairman of the FCC by this former crusader for free speech.
If we don't have free speech, then we just don't have a free country. It's as simple as that. If this most fundamental right is allowed to perish, then the rest of our rights and liberties will topple. Just like dominoes, one by one, they'll go down.
That was also in 2022. And I wonder, how did that guy turn into this guy?
Who would you like to see replace Kimmel on late night?
Well, a lot of people, anybody could replace him. The guy had no talent. Kimmel he was fired, he had no talent. He's a whack job, but he had no talent. And more importantly than talent, he had no, because a lot of people have no talent, they get ratings. But he had no ratings.
Well, I do tonight. Thank you.
Standing ovation.
You almost have to feel sorry for him. He did his best to cancel me. Instead, he forced millions of people to watch the show. That backfired bigly. He might have to release the Epstein files to distract us from this now.
So, like I said, he had a lot of great points and a lot to say, and there's 3 minutes of him. And though he's back on the air, I'm very concerned, and I think there is perhaps a backdoor deal going on. And this makes sense in my head, and you come from business, and let me know if you see any holes in my theory or if you agree or disagree or whatever. They were losing big time. Disney said, oh my God, we're losing our asses. We have to put him back on. Mm-hmm. So I think they had a secret meeting, and I think they said, here's what we do. Nexstar and Sinclair, you guys keep refusing to put him back on the air because they still won't put him back on the air. don't put him back on. Then in a few weeks, we, Disney, ABC, can fire him with cause because at that point, he's not generating any income because he's off 60 stations and we don't have to worry about being sued for wrongful termination. And then we're out of that lawsuit too, and we can fire him and everybody gets what we want. Does that make sense to you, or am I being way too conspiracy?
I don't think you're being way too conspiratorial. I think that is definitely a possibility.
They had to give in because they're losing their ass. So, oh, geez, what do we do? Probably there were meetings, maybe even with the Toadie cunt, and maybe it went from there. It's very concerning to me. So if you're hearing this and you can check your market and you have a Nexstar Sinclair station that is in your market, you need to boycott them. You need to tell them that you are not watching their channel until they put Kimmel back on. And then if you have time, I know this is a lot to ask when you have jobs and stuff, contact their advertisers and say, I'm not buying your product because you are on a Nexstar or Sinclair station, because this is censorship and it's terrible and you shouldn't be a part of it. And you have to vote with your dollar and you have to do it vigorously. And that's the only thing they understand. That's the only reason that Kimmel got put back on at all. They didn't put him back on because they were doing the right thing. They had him back on because they are losing their ass and they're scared financially. That's all they understand. So
he's not the only guy that it happened to.
Now, this goes back to the Howard Stern early days when all of that happened. It started with Janet Jackson exposing a boob during the Super Bowl, and then they were after broadcasting. And it was Infinity Broadcasting at the time was trying to purchase somebody and also go through a merger. They've done this before, and they started finding Howard Stern daily, and Infinity Broadcasting under Mel Karmazin had to pay basically extortion to get their deal done because of Howard Stern and the stuff he was saying. It's the same playbook. It's just they're still terrible at it to this day. And we had a good FCC commissioner for a while, and now we're back to this pig fuck of a person. So,
and it's not just happening in entertainment. Think about what is happening in the scientific community. The Trump administration audited the Smithsonian and demanded that they literally rewrite history, including his, and removing all mention of his impeachments. It knows no bounds. He is trying to rewrite history.
Yep. And a lot of things now are happening as a distraction because of Epstein and all that, I'm convinced.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Ooh, speaking of Epstein.
Yeah.
And the Epstein and Medifin files, sorry, I am still reeling from the fact that we're being told that acetaminophen is...
I have audio of that in a second. Let me get through this.
Okay, great. So
I just want to juxtapose what Kimmel just said to Brian Kilmeade. Do you know about the Brian Kilmeade story?
No.
Okay. Just to juxtapose it, Brian Kilmeade is the co-host of Fox and Friends, a conservative show, and they last Saturday and a half ago were talking, and this is what Brian Kilmeade said live on the air about killing homeless people.
Mental health and the homeless population, a lot of them don't want to take the programs. A lot of them don't want to get the help that is necessary. You can't give them a choice. Either you take the resources that we're going to give you, or you decide that you're going to be locked up in jail. That's the way it has to be now.
Or involuntary lethal injection or something. Just kill them.
Yeah, Brian, why did it have to get to this point?
Right. I would say this. We're not voting for the right people. In
Why
North
did we have to
Carolina,
get to this point of just killing them? Let's just kill them. Let's just do it. Let me slow that down for you in case you missed it. It went by kind of quick.
Involuntary lethal injection or something. Just kill them.
So, yeah, he said that. And, of course, he went on the air and had to give an apology. But it was such a half-hearted, half-assed apology. If anybody on the left had said something equally bad, they would be in jail right now in Nicaragua or something, wherever we could put them and ship them off. And there is just such a huge hypocrisy in that. That fucker said that. Let's just kill people. But he's okay. He's still got his job. He doesn't have to battle affiliates.
Well, and it is terrifying. So today there was a shooting at an ICE facility in Texas, just this morning.
I just saw the headlines of this. I don't know the story yet.
the early reports, and I don't think we have all the facts yet, but the early reports is that 3 people were shot by a sniper, but they were not ICE agents. 2 of the 3 people are dead, and the shooter is dead, but they were detainees who were killed. Now, I went to the comments because that's where I find very interesting things, and I was horrified by the number of comments, and who knows if they're bots or not, but saying that we should just kill all of the illegal immigrants. Or just kill immigrants, and applauding the fact that that had happened.
It's just gross and disgusting, and they are looked at as less than people. They might as well be slaves, but then I think the way they view them, maybe even slaves have more value than some of our immigrants.
And we've talked about this on the show before. Once you start othering people and dehumanizing people, it's much easier to excuse doing horrendous things to them.
Yeah.
And that is the purpose of propaganda. And that is what is going on in our country.
And I will admit that I other and dehumanize people. I'm in that mindset now. I do it quite a bit. It's the far right Republicans. I feel that way about them, and it's so easy to disassociate myself from them. And I often wish really bad things for them, and I kind of feel okay in that a lot of times. I'm not doing it. I just wish bad things.
I just can't get there on it. I just wish for a more balanced return to civilization where we can be nice to each other.
See, I don't think that's realistic at this point, and I think that, at least part of me thinks that the only way these motherfuckers are going to learn is if people around them start having really bad things happen to them. Then they will at least be cowards and do the right thing because they are cowards, because they're not going to do the right thing on their own. Again, I would never enact this, but that is sure the way I feel these days.
I don't think it would make a difference. For example, I'll use Charlie Kirk as a case in point. Okay, he was horrifically, tragically murdered. Nobody deserves that. He also said some absolutely horrendous things. Instead of his people changing their opinion on, maybe I shouldn't behave this way and that kind of stuff. No, it has simply emboldened millions of people, elevated him to the status of martyr, essentially. And now people are saying things like he was killed for telling the truth.
No, he really wasn't. I'm fine with a black pilot.
Yeah.
I really am.
Me
Give me a pilot that's trained. That's all I care about.
Yeah, exactly. Give me a pilot who is trained. Thank you very much.
And it's amazing to me. Well, first off, to your point, the reason that everything is so hyper-realized now is that nobody ever changes opinion. And there was an ideal of Charlie Kirk and what he was and what he stood for on the right. And even though every day terrible, terrible new things come out, new audio tapes that point out just what a piece of shit he was, people that are dug in on it will not say that, oh, that was wrong. Maybe I can adjust my stance on this a little bit. They just go full hardcore the other direction, and they're going to stand by their wrong ideals.
Absolutely. And the hypocrisy is absolutely ripe. So he advocated for the murdering of trans people and stoning gay people to death openly, not just once, many times, okay? But if somebody else said anything like that, like someone on the far left, they would be absolutely skewered.
Yeah, I mean, they say, well, he was willing to talk to anybody about anything. Well, he was, but that's also because the people on the right were not going to persecute him, and the people on the left were not going to persecute him because the people on the left seem to be more open to saying, that's a shitty idea, but we're not going to put you in jail for it.
Yeah, he's also a grown man going to university campuses to debate with children.
Right. That's a good point.
It's like Mark Zuckerberg, Brazilian jiu-jitsu master, going to a fucking creche and just throwing a toddler into a fucking vertical suplex. come on. Under the guise of I'm trying to train them to be better.
Right.
You're going and having conversations with people whose prefrontal cortex hasn't even developed yet.
Let me show you how right I am by debating these people that are not that good at debating.
Honestly, it's masturbatorial.
Yeah. Yeah, all right. So, yeah, Trump, Tylenol. This is the new thing. And this is one of those things that I think probably has been talked about for a while, but because of everything going on, they needed a distraction. So they wheeled out Trump and his demented old ass, and he can barely complete a sentence. And then they put that fucking leather face behind him and that fake Dr. Oz. And they held this press conference where Trump just decided that Tylenol was bad for pregnant women.
The FDA will be notifying physicians that the use of well, let's see how we say that.
Let's see how we do anything. I can't complete a thought. Here we go.
Acetaminophen.
Wrong.
Acetaminophen.
There you go.
Is that okay?
Yeah, you're a genius, Donald. Just keep saying what you're saying. You're the best.
Which is basically commonly known as Tylenol. During pregnancy can be associated.
You can't even say pregnancy.
With a very increased risk of autism.
Now, is he quoting medical facts there? Because it just sounds to me like he's trying to stumble through a bullshit sentence. I'm not hearing any facts. It doesn't sound like a real doctor putting anything forth.
Increased risk of autism. So taking Tylenol is not good. All right, I'll say it. It's not good.
How would it be if you went into a work meeting and responded to anything that way? Somebody asks you a direct question and you just go, it's not good.
If it was me,
yeah,
you'd be calling a fucking ambulance because you'd assume that I'm having a stroke.
Yeah. Like, this is not the way you exist in life and have any bearing on anybody else as a human being.
It's like a Looney Tunes cartoon. A yibbity yibbita, that's all, folks. He's like fucking Porky Pig.
Which character would Donald be? Porky Pig? Foghorn Leghorn?
Elmer Fudd.
Elmer Fudd. There's quite a bit of Fudd in him. That's good. I like that.
Yeah, Piggy Fudster.
There's no Bugs in him. Bugs is too kick-ass to be part of Trump.
No, too smart.
Yeah, you're right.
All right, I'll say it. It's not good. For this reason, they are strongly recommending that women limit Tylenol use during pregnancy unless medically necessary.
Why? Because people recreationally take Tylenol. I don't know about you, but when I wake up and I just need an extra kick, I crush some of that shit up and snort it to fix my mild to moderate headache or fever. What the fuck? Who is using it recreationally? Limit their use to medical. Give it a rest.
I'm laughing so hard because I give you a general outline of what we're going to talk about and you don't see my actual notes. And so often we are of the exact same thought. And I have in my notes who is taking Tylenol recreationally, the exact word recreationally. Because yes, you're right. That definitely stands out. Oh my God. What does he think people are doing?
I have no idea.
Go out, have a bunch of beers and take a Tylenol? Fuck yeah. Party it up.
Yeah, because although the Surgeon General does actually warn against alcohol use, so, I mean, if you're going to go that far, you may as well just lay off the Tylenol you were going to take for your hangover.
Yeah, but Emily, corporate beer sponsors.
True.
You got to think ahead in corporate beer sponsors. Back to Don.
Unless medically necessary. That's, for instance, in cases of extremely high fever, that you feel you can't tough it out, you can't do it. I guess there's that. It's a small number of cases, I think. But
he doesn't even have statistics. It's a small number of cases that have fevers he thinks, and in those cases, he guesses it's okay to take a Tylenol. You would think that Dr. fucking Oz would step up with some stats or figures or something, or Leatherface might do the same to help back him up, but then they would probably get yelled at for interrupting him, I guess, right?
Like, define a fever.
Yeah.
What are we talking about here? In Fahrenheit, is it 100.4? Is it 103.5? Is it brain frying at 104? Seizure town at 105? Like, when's the right time?
Some guidelines.
Yeah, let's give some guidelines.
Why wasn't Dr. Phil up there with them? He's a big Trump supporter and another fucking kook. Why didn't they bring him in on this?
He's too busy counseling brother, mother, uncle, cousin fucker, and whatever.
Or maybe he's out with ICE. Maybe him and Dean Cain are too busy with ICE.
That's actually probably what's happening. Him and Dean Cain are high-fiving one another over the bodies of the dead ICE detainees in Texas. They've flown down for a photo op.
As long as we know about the whereabouts of all the kooks, that's what we need. So,
For instance, in cases of extremely high fever, that you feel you can't tough it out, you can't do it. I guess there's that. It's a small number of cases, I think. But if you can't tough it out, if you can't do it, that's what you're going to have to do. You'll take a Tylenol, but it'll be very sparingly.
With Health Secretary...
Take a Tylenol, but very sparingly. You doddering old dipshit dolt, stop it.
RFK Jr. by his side, who has long shared provably wrong theories about what causes autism, President Trump is warning pregnant women about using the painkiller acetaminophen, commonly sold as Tylenol, saying that there are studies showing a possible link between using the drug during pregnancy with an increased risk of bearing children with autism.
Bobby wants to be very careful with what he says, and he should, but I'm not so careful with what I say.
Oh, we know that, Johnny.
Calling RFK Bobby, call him Leatherface, call him what the fuck he is. Ugh.
Yeah, I mean, and as we've talked about before on the show, I don't know if I'm going to take my medical advice from a guy who shot himself up with heroin for 14 years and whose own body is trying to make it so he can't speak. His own body is trying to permanently censor him.
He had a big goddamn worm in his brain and is known for multiple times going out and killing stuff in the wild and just strapping it to the roof of his car and driving around with like whale guts draining and leaking everywhere all over his car. There's all those weird stories.
Far out.
Yeah, righty.
But you have certain groups, the Amish as an example.
The Amish, we were just talking about the Amish. Thanks for bringing it back to the Amish, Don. Here we go.
Say they have essentially no autism.
But according to scientists, the Amish do indeed have cases of autism.
Oops.
Oh, whoa.
Sorry, I guess they do. I guess that was wrong fact number 5002.
It will issue a physician's notice about the risk of acetaminophen during pregnancy and begin the process to initiate a safety label change.
Leading medical groups say that there have been dozens of large studies over the decades, and not one of them found that acetaminophen causes autism. They worry that pregnant women will now be afraid to take the drug, even when they have a fever, which they say can be more dangerous for the baby. Tonight, the president is also recommending a new drug to treat autism called leucovorin, a drug usually prescribed
to treat autism. Okay, so, I mean, let's get back to this, but the fact that autism is being treated like some terrible scourge on the population. They want to focus on trying to treat autism like it's causing big problems, but they don't want to try and fix other things that really are causing big problems, like measles, because those vaccines are bad. But how is autism so bad? It's given us amazing things.
When you were saying vaccines are bad there, you were saying that jokingly from their point of view?
Yeah.
Okay. It kind of sounded like you were saying that for a second. I just wanted to point that out.
No. The purpose of healthcare, I believe, is to further humanity, right? And to protect humans, ideally, that kind of thing.
But it depends how much money you can make in the process, too.
I think that is also true. I am also not naive to, and I'm probably too conspiratorial about the impact and influence of big pharma and the corruption and all of those types of things. But there is so much rhetoric right now about autism. They're making it out like people who are autistic are somehow bad and that every single person who has autism needs to be fixed in some way, which I find to be ridiculous. And I
especially
think
because it's not an on-off button. There are many different forms of autism, and they say the spectrum, which is kind of cliche, but you can be even just a little bit autistic. And I bet that there are so many people in our society that are on that spectrum and could be considered autistic and are perfectly fine and functioning.
Yeah. Elon Musk, anyone? Like if they want to choose a favorite autie, Elon Musk, without a doubt, is autistic. In fact, most big tech billionaires, engineers who are super engineers, many mathematicians, things like that. Autism has existed since day dot and has been responsible for many important discoveries, I think we would find.
Well, I have the actual facts here. At least this is what I got from the internet earlier. Autism was acknowledged in 1911. Tylenol was first in use in 1950. So Tylenol causing autism doesn't quite make sense.
Right. And they're saying there might be a link to increased rates of it or whatever. What about, remember when microwaves used to come with a warning?
Yeah.
Like, there are so many things. The world is trying to kill us. We still use Roundup in this country where we grow food, and we know that causes cancer, but the government is not doing anything about it. They're terrified of Tylenol. Wait until they find out about guns.
We'll have to examine that and see where that goes.
Come on.
I never thought of that before.
It's
But you're right.
insane.
Any of those things individually that are not a problem, probably because there's money involved in political PACs and that sort of thing, any of those could be causing or contributing to autism, or it could be a combination of those things, making your body less efficient and maybe damaging your genetics generation to generation, and that could be causing autism. Maybe it's microplastics and the fact that apparently I've got a credit card in my testicles now, that I have to go through life that way. We're finding out about all these things. But, things are controversial and Epstein, and we need to take attention away. Let's hold a Tylenol press conference.
Maybe they want people to have more babies, but it's too expensive to have babies. And so people are waiting until they are older to try and have babies. And then many of them are missing their natural fertility window. So they're needing to use IVF. Doctors have proven that the older you are when you have children increases the risk of any sort of issue with your kid. But why is it that autism is being seen as bad? Because think about it this way, especially people who are not impaired, I'll say impaired on the spectrum, right? Who gets to decide what's normal? Do you get to decide that it's normal just because you have the biggest voice, that you're the largest cohort, or so you think? Because I firmly suspect this, and I sound like a crazy person probably, so tell me if you agree with it or not. But I think that if every single human being was forced to go through a half-day social emotional test, a very large percentage of the population would be diagnosed as being on the spectrum.
Yeah, based on the conversation we just had, I totally agree with that. That makes sense, because it's kind of verbalized as everybody has their thing, and we all do. And that thing displays itself in different areas of our life. And even if somebody is a little bit off, a kid is learning and diagnosed with autism, to me, usually that just means, okay, they need to learn things a different way. Approach it that way. A lot of kids learn this way, being shouted at in a room full of kids. Maybe they need some more one-on-one, or maybe there's a different way they need to learn. And a lot of times that will solve the issue, from my perception, me not having kids.
I think about it from the perspective of the current regime and some traits that are commonly associated with people who are on the spectrum.
Yeah.
Incredibly loyal, always tell the truth, hard, incorruptible, very strong moral compass. Those people are a threat to the regime.
True.
So no wonder they don't want people who are more adept at identifying patterns. There's something to it, right?
Yeah.
So, and are often really smart scientists, that kind of stuff. There is an attack on science from this regime as well. Think about all of the funding that has been cut to scientific research, all of the censorship, things that have been pulled down. It is ridiculous. You know what it's like? It's like, did you ever watch the Barbie movie? I know we talked about it, but did you watch it?
I watched part of it. I didn't get through it. I thought it was, just not for me.
Not for you. So it's like when the Kens took over Barbie World or Barbie Land. And Ken turned Barbie's dream house into the Mojo Dojo Casa house. And they were just broing it up big time and just doing all sorts of crazy things, whatever they wanted, completely unchecked the whole time. That's the world that we're living in right now.
Yeah. I see that, because I am constantly thinking how much I hate that fucking bro mentality. Even if they're on the left and they're that person, I can't stand to be around them. And as somebody on the right like that, holy Christ, that bane of my existence.
It's crazy. And they're trying to pit men and women against each other as well. Like, it's incredibly bizarre. I don't understand it. But
well, in the right-wing Republican conservative thinking, that is very much the thing. The man is the lord of the house and the woman shall serve him. And I would suspect that is what they would like, and that's what they're trying to get back around to.
Absolutely. I mean, sometimes I think that their goal and the way they go about it is just ham-fisted. So do you remember when, and I don't know if it was moved or not, but there was a process to try and change voting eligibility so that you would need to prove who you were with your birth certificate, and your name would have to match what's on your birth certificate.
Right.
But the practical application of that is that any woman that is married and that has taken her husband's name, her driver's license, and I'll put myself in that bucket, my driver's license and my passport don't match my birth certificate. Furthermore, they were saying that you'd need to produce a passport. Those things are so expensive.
And you can't turn them around in a quick way. I know, because I got a passport for the first time. It takes about 4 to 6 weeks.
Absolutely.
And if the election's coming up and you discover this, oh, geez, I guess you're going to miss it.
Yep, exactly. You can't register to vote, and then you can't prove who you are unless you are wealthy enough to do it. So I'm just
everybody check your
head.
voting status. That's a very good point.
Yes, everybody check your voting status now, because you cannot make a change. You cannot enroll swiftly. It is a process. It takes time.
My friend I talk about a lot on the show, Bit Killer Debbie, is married and just discovered exactly what you're talking about and went through something with Social Security and updating this. And it was a day and a half of going to government offices to get that corrected. So everybody look out for yourself, especially if you're a woman, because you're less than a human being, apparently. So make sure that you can, bring yourself up to current 100% human being status.
Exactly. Especially if you were enrolled to vote under your maiden name and then you got married.
Right.
Or vice versa. Maybe you've been divorced. Maybe your name has changed. Who knows? Maybe you changed your name to McAwesome Thundercat because you're a legend. Just make sure it's right.
All right. Well, before we started this show, you said, hey, I have a kid story thing. That would be fun. And we've talked through like the whole hour. Do you have time to do it now? Do you want to do it now? Do you want to save it till next time? I kept trying to get to it and we were talking and...
Totally fine. You know that I pride myself on trying to be a really good mom, and I dedicate every waking moment to these beautiful creatures. One of my kids has been unwell since the first week of Christmas, okay? Snotty, coughing, like a postnasal drip cough. We've gone through many rounds of antibiotics. He's had chest x-rays, all the fruit. Anyway, finally last week, we're in September, my friend. I took him to an allergist and he did an allergy test down both arms where they like prick you. Turns out he's allergic to dust mites.
Which are everywhere. If you have a mattress, you have dust mites.
Exactly. So cue me just trying to clean the house. I've got HEPA filters. He's on immunotherapy, like all of this kind of thing. The first day I came back, I gave him a Benadryl and it made his life so much better. I'd never tried Benadryl before. Oh, this is Emily is this many days dumb. Last week, I finally figured out that Benadryl, Claritin, Allegra and stuff, the active ingredient is all different. I thought he couldn't possibly have allergies because I was giving him Allegra and Claritin and it wasn't working. Turns
Different
out
stuff.
I was using the wrong shit. So I came home and I was like, let's test this out. I gave him one. Not only did it put him to sleep, it cleared up his symptoms. So I felt like a terrible mother. Anyway, good news is he is happy, healthy, sprightly now and is getting all of the help that he needs. But
Well, okay, you're not a terrible mother. I can tell you that outside looking in. How did the medical profession not lead you down that road 10 months ago when you started this?
honestly, I don't know. And I kept going back over and over and over again. They just kept looking in his ears and looking up his nose and saying he's either got a cold or a sinus infection. Anyway, I finally figured that out. So that's really good. What we didn't get to was the thing that you haven't seen yet that you have to look up that I'm very excited about, which is that some patriot has gone to the mall, the National Mall in Washington, D.C., and in a Banksy-esque act of defiance, erected an ode to Friendship Week, okay, or National Friendship Day. And that is 2 bronze statues, one of President Donald Trump and another one of Jeffrey Epstein, holding hands and frolicking with the letter that Donald Trump apparently didn't send to Jeffrey Epstein on his birthday, cast in bronze.
Well, because his signature is not like that. I don't know if you heard him say that, Trump. He doesn't sign things that way at all that we've seen 1,000 times before.
Wasn't the quote, "I've never written a picture"? I've never written a picture. Next week, we have to play a fun game, and it's called Who Tweeted It? Donald Trump or Kanye West?
Sounds good. I'm up for that. The
All
only
right,
thing
well-
is, I wish we had somebody to give us the games because you're going to know it and I won't know it. It's better if we could compete against each other. And pull one of your kids out of school and have them host the game.
That would be quite funny.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
just, if you want to be a good parent, pull your child out of school and we'll do that.
Yeah. That would be really, really funny. My kids love a good rant as well. So maybe when we get old and retire, they can take over the show.
They'll keep us sharp so we don't lose our mind and get dumb and forgetful. That'll be awesome.
Exactly. Well, it's always a pleasure to see you.
It is indeed. We got into a lot. And, we always get into a lot anyway.
We always get into a lot. It's good. We'll take care, and I'll see you next week. Stay vigilante.
There you go. And that one guy's a toady fuck. Bye.
Okay, you know how this goes. Like us, subscribe, tell your friends, write a nice review, engage with us. We're Total Babble on Instagram, on Facebook, on Threads, and on Blue Sky. Email is show@totalbabble.com. The Total Babble Podcast.
I'm sorry to hear that you weren't picked for the God Squad by Sky Daddy.